is David Bojan, and I want to talk to you about your third eye. The third eye is the vertical eye, right here between your eyebrows on the bridge of your nose. And what I want you to notice about the third eye is you got two physical eyes on the horizontal plane and the vertical eye, the third eye. What you can do is practice daily. In fact, in each moment of the waking day, you can practice the third eye. The third eye is constantly opening and closing, opening and closing. It's like the quantum observer of our inner being. So it's observing the pinpoints of stuck muddiness in our life. And there's these 5 gates that you'll see in the film I produced. And you can watch your third eye open, close, open, close. When it's open, that's a yes. When it's closed, that's a no. You can practice this with muscle testing. I do it all the time. I'll ask a question like, do I want to go outdoors without a coat? No. Do I want to stay and finish this video? Yes. So I can tell by the pressure here, called muscle testing. My wife, Grace Ann Roselle, introduced it to me, and I've been practicing it for over 30 years. So it's kind of a test I use of my third eye. And when the third eye is open and I get a yes, I act. When I get a no, I don't act. That's when I'm in my perfect state of harmony. Not all the time. Those of you that know me will attest to that. So you can actually practice it. And then you're going to see the 5 gates. Each of them has a Sanskrit name I learned from Gurudev Shichabanu after I met Grace Ann over 30 years ago. Went to India, did the whole thing. Now, if you're a Christian, I don't want you to get all bummed out because you talk about the seeds of leadership, the seeds in you, and what is it? You believe it's Jesus. You believe it's God. You believe whatever your orientation is. We all believe in a divinity, an inner divinity or divinity way up there. Your choice. So enjoy the film, and we're going to do some practice today of opening and closing the third eye so we can get a sense of the 5 gates that are flooding our calm lake, making it all muddy. And then sometimes you got to open the gates and flush out the water, just like your toilet. All right? Thank you. Go to growthod.org for more. We have meetings every week on a Monday. And if you want to get into deeper thinking, we do that on a Tuesday. The meetings are there. Go there and you'll find out about the seeds of leadership to grow your organizational development. Hey, why? Because as we've been studying Enron, right, the Epstein files, all of this, these gates are open. We're getting inundated. We're overwhelmed when the social media, it's time to shut off the social media, including me.
Which leads us to the big question, right? How do you actually use it? It's the whole point, and we're going to unpack that right now. And trust me, the answer is probably not what you're expecting. And that brings us right here to a question I want you to really think about for a second. Seriously, with whom are you attracting relationships into your life? Now, this isn't just about, who you bump into. It's about the quality of those connections, the vibe. And this whole practice, it's all about getting the clarity you need to answer that question on purpose, not by accident. So to get there, we got to understand what the third eye's vision is all about. And spoiler alert, it's about seeing way more than what your 2 physical eyes can show you. Okay, so the traditional term for the third eye is ajna. In Sanskrit, that means command and control. And I know what you're thinking, but hold on, this isn't about dominating anyone else, not at all. It's about self-mastery. It's about gaining command over your own thoughts, your own emotions. You can think of it like your personal vertical eye of wisdom. So how do we actually do this? How do we practice it? Well, it starts by becoming what's called the quantum observer. It sounds complex, but it's really not. It just means you learn to step back and just watch. Watch your thoughts come and go, watch your feelings rise and fall, all without getting swept away by them. No judgment. It's from that place of balance that you can finally get the clarity to see what's really going on, both inside yourself and in the world around you. All right, to really get a grip on this, let's use a metaphor, a really powerful one that's going to guide us through the rest of this whole thing. I want you to imagine something. Your inner self is like a perfectly still mountain lake. The water is crystal clear, pristine. You can see every pebble on the bottom. That calm, that clarity, that's your natural state. That's the baseline we're aiming to get back to.
But, life happens, right? Big storms of emotion roll in and make the water roil. The winds of pressure from work or family start creating these choppy waves. And then you've got these hidden undertows, from past experiences. Before you know it, all that stuff leaves behind debris, and your once clear lake is now murky, cloudy, and you can't see a thing.
So what is all this junk that's clouding up our inner lake? Well, there's actually a name for it, and figuring this out is the absolute first step to getting that water clear again.
The term is Ashrava, and it basically means the constant, non-stop inflow of story clutter. Just think about it for a sec. All the messages, the ads, the opinions, the expectations you soak up every single day. From society, from your job, even from your own family. All that stuff conditions you, shaping how you think and feel. And most of the time, we don't even notice it's happening. That is the source of all the mud in our lake.
Okay, so if Ashrava is the problem, this endless flood of clutter, then what's the solution? There's a name for that too, Samvara. And you know what it is at its core? It's the practice of just saying stop. It's that simple and that powerful. It's about consciously deciding to put up a gate and stop that endless stream of noise from pouring in. So how do we actually practice this? How do we say stop? Well, the method involves closing 5 specific gates where all this clutter gets in. Let's walk through them one by one. First up, Gate 1, Kashaya. This is all about our own intense inner passions. We're talking about things like anger, pride, greed. You know the feeling. When those emotions just take over and run wild. They're like these massive internal storms that just churn up all the muck from the bottom of your lake. Gate 2 is called yoga. And nope, we're not talking about downward dog here. In this context, yoga means being glued to things. And we all know what that means today, right? Being glued to our screens, our apps, that never-ending scroll. It's that constant fire hose of external noise that yanks us away from our own center, always making us chase that next notification, that next like.
And if you want a sense of just how big this problem is, get this. On any given day, you are exposed to somewhere between 4,000 and 10,000 advertisements. Think about that. 10,000. Every single one of them is a tiny piece of story clutter, trying to wiggle its way into your mind and influence you. That is a tidal wave of Ashrava.
All right, Gate 3 is Pramada. This is that feeling of lethargy. When you just feel stuck, stagnant, like you're wading through mud. It often comes from being indecisive or just not really paying attention to where your time and energy are leaking out. In our lake metaphor, this is what happens when the water stops moving. It just sits there and gets swampy. Next up is Gate 4, Avrati. This one is all about our failure to set limits. Boundaries. It can look like a compulsion or just plain overconsumption of, pretty much anything. Too much shopping, too much social media, too much news. It's like we've just opened the floodgates and are letting an endless river of trash flow right into our pristine lake, totally overwhelming it. And that brings us to the 5th and final gate, Mithyatthava. This is the end result of all the others. It's that state of just confusion, uncertainty, ignorance. When those other 4 gates have been swinging wide open for a while, this is what you get. Your lake is so murky, so full of junk, that seeing anything clearly is impossible. You can't even tell what's real anymore. Okay, so we've laid out the problem, Ashrava, and the practice to stop it, Samvara. But what's the point of it all? What's the payoff? What happens when we finally clear the water in that lake? Well, that's when you get to write a whole new story. The whole goal, the ultimate outcome, is to restory your life. It's a great word, right? With that newfound clarity, you stop being just a passive sponge for all the world's clutter. Instead, you become an active co-creator. You start writing a new story for yourself with the people you choose to bring into it. So the idea is to build intentional spaces, environments where real, healthy connections have a chance to actually grow. You're no longer just reacting to whatever life throws at you. You are consciously, deliberately building the network of relationships that you want.
And this quote from True Storytelling Principles really nails it. You must consider staging, including scenography and artifacts. I mean, think about that. What's the scenery in your life? What are the props on your stage? It's reminding us that we are the directors. We get to set the stage for the exact story we want to live out.
Which, of course, leaves us with that classic line from Shakespeare. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. And if that's true, then this whole third eye practice, well, that's what gives you the clear vision to see the stage, to understand your character, and to choose, consciously and with purpose, how you want to play your part. So, the final question is, what role are you going to choose?